Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening in Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming back Attorney Kem L of Just in Time Legal Solutions, and we're here today to talk about child support and child custody. Attorney Marks, welcome back.
Thank you, Jarvis. Glad to be back.
Great, so we're here to talk about child support, child custody. I know a lot of you all are going through that right now in your lives. So let's first kick off the question, what is child support?
Child support is the obligation to pay monetarily for your child and their standard of living.
So how is that child support number calculated? Is it a number in the sky or a judge just decide,
No, child support is calculated by looking at the income of both the mother and the dad, and then on a percentage system, both parents contribute. So say, for instance, if the court says, okay, based on the standard of living of these parents, we have, let's just say, a $400 child, meaning the total amount to raise this child should be $400 a month. Well, in that scenario, if both parents make about the same, then they would be paying $200 for the dad. The mom's is just kind of folded into her day-to-day obligation. But now, I'm just going to tell you in terms of child support calculation, a lot of times men think that they're the only ones paying child support.
Okay.
But what happens is that if you have a guy who is dating someone who doesn't have any sort of employment, doesn't have any sort of education, and then they have a child together, and the court determines that that's a $400 child, well then yes, that guy's gonna be paying $400, but it's not because the court has thrown the book at him, it's because that's who he picked to have a child with. And so if it was a zero contribution situation in terms of who he dated and procreated with, then it's gonna be a zero contribution situation when it's time for child support as well.
All right, now a question, like say myths. Is the father the only parent responsible for paying child support?
No, just like we talked about, it just seems that way because he's the one who's actually paying out and either to the mother or into the court. So it makes it seem like the court determines, okay, you pay your $200, but you pay it into the court, whereas the mother's is just kind of folded in to the household because she has custody of the child, physical custody.
All right, so can I withhold payments if she won't let me see the child? I know a lot of you all asking that,
Absolutely not.
Wow.
That is not the thing to do because child support is determined separately from child custody. Those are two different issues. And so what has to happen is that to the extent that there's a breach in child support, then, the mother has different ramifications under the law, but then at the same time, if the custody becomes an issue, what happens is you just hold that mom in contempt, or the other parent in contempt if there's if there's an order in place.
Okay, another great question I have. Does my child support obligation take into account any income obligations from a separate household or family?
It does not, which means that, again, the same formula is done, and so the court does not say, oh, well, just because you already pay child support on one child, we're going to give you lesser amount to pay on another child. I mean, people should only have as many children as they can afford because you don't get an offset based on pre-existing children.
Let me ask you this, another type of scenario. Let's just say before we established child support, I was paying for daycare, buying sneakers, paying for food. Does that court take that into account? Child support and arrears, does that even matter or anything like that?
It may be a factor depending on how well it's documented. I mean, if cash payments were made, they should always be exchanged in terms of a receipt. If it's a check payment or a money order, those payment systems should be retained for such a time as child support payment and potentially arrears will be calculated, because if there's no proof of that, then you will be charged the full arrears based on the time frame that child support is sought.
So let me give you another scenario. Let's just say I'm working at my job and I get laid off. can my child support be changed, or can I just take a pause in it, or modification? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Child support can be modified under certain circumstances, but again, I would recommend that anybody who needs to have it modified do so proactively and not just drop off on the payments. And then the other thing is that courts do not allow parents to be voluntarily unemployed or underemployed just to avoid child support payments. And so to the extent that a parent doesn't want to pay child support, they can't just quit their job and say, oh, well, if I have to pay this much per month, I'm just never going to work again. The court presumes that each parent should be employed within the range of their education and earning potential, and those arrears and things will still accrue, regardless of whether a person is under or unemployed.
Well, this is a question I know a lot of my fellows are probably thinking right now. She's just not using that money right. I see her with some red bomb shoes. I see her with a new car. I see her balling out at the club. Is there anything I could do to show the court that the money that I'm providing her that's supposed to be taking care of the child is being used for something else?
Well, unless, of course, the child is in some sort of destitute situation or some sort of, starvation, abandonment type of situation, really there's nothing that you can do about that, because the presumption is that that child support goes into the overall household. And so if a mom is putting a roof over the child's head, paying utilities and so forth and so on out of the overall cash flow into the home, to the extent that she splurges on something, there's no way to determine precisely that child support is going to that, because it just goes into the money of the household.
All right, so let me just answer this, because we're going to get into a second segment in a moment. Any final thoughts you would like to add about this popular topic about child support?
Well, I think that everyone, when looking at issues of child support, no one should forget the issue of child custody as well, because a lot of times people want to look at things in terms of paying money, but they don't think about their rights in terms of seeking child custody. And it's going to be the non-custodial parent's right, and usually that's the father, just because children are born to the mother, but it's going to be the non-custodial parent's right to seek any sort of custody. And custody doesn't necessarily have to mean taking someone's child away. It's just joint custody in terms of being able to go up to the school or know about medical records or make decisions with regard to whether that child can play sports and things. So joint parental custody, but not physical custody, and that comes with visitation as well.
All right, and we're going to dig deep into this another topic. We could hold this to one topic. One more question I want to ask.
Yes.
Does child support end when the child turns 18?
It does not in
Whoa.
Alabama.
Okay.
Because in Alabama, the age of majority is 19.
All right.
And so it does end. It just ends a little bit later in Alabama, and that varies state by state. But 19 is the age of majority in Alabama, and so 19 is when it ends here.
All right. Well, Attorney Marks, thank you for coming on this first segment. Originally, we're going to cover all this one segment. I just think in the second segment, because we're going to talk about this child custody thing, because I think a lot of y'all are going through it. So stay tuned for the second video. Thank you for watching this video, and please check out what'shappenedbirmingham.com for more videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank y'all again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.